Okay, to start, we're going to delete this cube here by pressing X. We're going to go to Mesh, and we're going to select a UV sphere. We're going to bring it up on the Z-axis by pressing G and Z. Bringing it up a little more. And we're going to rename it to Cakepop. Now we're going to add another mesh, and that's going to be a cylinder. We're going to scale this down by pressing S, and then we press S and Z on the Z-axis to form the stick of the cake pop, and bring it up again by pressing G and Z, and putting it into the cake pop and shading both the cake pop and the stick smooth in object mode. And now we are creating the frosting that goes on top of the cake pop. We go into edit mode and we delete half the faces on the sphere. So I deleted these individually. If you guys know of a quicker way to do this, please let me know. I am recapping in Blender again. So I'm just deleting the faces of half the sphere for the frosting. Alright, so we have that done. And now I'm going to select every two faces on the bottom and delete those as well to form the little curves at the bottom of the frosting. It'll look better with a subdivision surface, but first I have to delete those faces before I apply a subdivision surface. So I'm just going along, holding shift down while selecting each square face. This curve is going to be a little bigger. This one curve. And then I'm going to hit X and delete faces. Now I'm selecting the whole frosting and I'm adding the subdivision surface modifier. And I'm turning up the levels view and turning down the render view. So now it's curvier to form the little curves at the bottom of the frosting. And now I have to go into object mode to apply the modifier. So that has been applied, and now I'm going to apply a solidify modifier to make the frosting a little thicker on the cake pop. I'm scaling the frosting up a little bit so it can sit like a cap on the cake pop, like it was just dipped in chocolate. Now I'm just checking to see how the curves look all around the cake pop. Now I'm going to go into the materials mode and I'm going to make this like a chocolate frosting. So to do that, I changed the base color to brown and I turned the roughness down all the way so the chocolate is very shiny. Not all the way, but most of the way. And now I'm applying a new material to the cake pop and calling it cake. And it's going to be like a purpley color. So I like that color best. So now I tried to do something to duplicate the sphere from the cake pop to make the sprinkle, but the color wouldn't really change. So I'm going to eventually delete that sphere I just duplicated and just make a new sphere. See, the color hasn't changed. So I'm just going to delete that. I'm going to add another UV sphere. I'm going to shade it smooth. I scaled it down. And now I'm going to apply a particle system to the top of the chocolate frosting. So it looks funny because it's a hair particle system, but you'll see what I do. I apply each point as the sphere object I just created. And I turn down the number to 58. I make sure the rotation is normal for the sphere. I try to play with the randomization. I believe that's the placement of the sphere sprinkles. And then I have to grab that little eyedropper and select it, the sphere, and I have to scale it up to as I see fit. There's going to be some rogue sprinkles at the bottom of the chocolate. Once I make those instances real, I can delete those rogue sprinkles because they'll be like individual spheres on the cake pop. Now I'm just playing with the number of white sprinkles. And once I finish this particle system and make those sphere instances real, I will add pink sprinkles as well with another particle system. Now I can delete that original sphere I made. Now I'm just zooming in and deleting some rogue sprinkles at the bottom of the chocolate. And some rogue sprinkles on the top of the chocolate. Okay, it's looking pretty good, so I'm adding another UV sphere, and this time I'm going to make pink sprinkles to apply to the top of the chocolate. As you can see, I'm applying a secondary particle system for the pink sprinkles. And I'm rendering it as the object and grabbing the eyedropper and grabbing those pink sprinkles. Now I want to scale it up a little bit. And now I'm just playing with the orientation of the sprinkles. I'm just playing with all the different settings. I'm seeing what the sprinkles look like on the vertices instead of faces. And I'm just playing with the number of pink sprinkles. Now I'm saving my work, and I'm trying to make the instances real for the pink sprinkles. So it disappeared because the instances weren't made real just yet. Now they're real. So now I can delete that original pink sprinkle and save my work. So now the cake pop is pretty much done. Now we want to add an environment texture to the world to add better lighting. I got mine from polyhaven.com. They have really good HDRIs. I liked this Christmas photo that they had. So I'm just seeing what it looks like in render mode. You can see how much lighting it adds, and it has windows. It has the lights from the tree. So it adds a really nice, it adds just very nice lighting for your cake pop render. And I'm just gonna add a plane here, which is gonna serve as like a periwinkle blue background for the cake pop. I just rotated it on the axes, and now I have to rotate it again a few times and make it straight. I'm just trying to figure out which axes to rotate it on, and it looks like the y-axis is the one. So now I'm scaling it up and I'm moving it back on the y-axis. And now I want to add a new material called BG for background. And I'm going to change the color of the background here. I'm going to delete the sun lighting because I'm going to add my own lighting. Not only do I add a regular light, but I add pink and purple lights to the side of the cake pop as well. Lighting makes all the difference when you're doing 3D modeling. I turned up the wattage for the first light, and you can see the reflection on the cake pop. Now I duplicated it and I'm making a second light, but I'm going to change the color of that light. I like a purple ambient color, like a bluish purple ambient color. I'm going to duplicate that light one more time, add it to the bottom left, and make that one like a magenta color. And you can see a whole difference in how the cake pop looks. And now I'm just going to toggle the camera view here. You want to go to camera to view, and then in the image properties, I want to make this a square image and not a rectangular image. So the resolution is just 1920 by 1920 pixels. And I'm just adjusting the camera here and making different renders. Saving my work. Now I'm rendering the first image. And I like my results. So I'm going to save it as cakepop1.png. Now I'm going to rotate my cake pop, but first I have to just turn off the plain background because I just want to rotate just the cake pop with the lighting. Kind of center it in the camera view. Turn on the plane again. And pan the camera up a little bit by holding shift and pressing the middle wheel. And I like this angle, so I'm going to render this image as well. And it looks pretty good. So I'm saving it as cakepop2.png.